Welcome to Deep Dive Film School. I'm Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Palcher.
If you like what you see /hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us in all the spaces and places that people what?
Find good media. That's right. Our most popular channels are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So please join us there. All right, let's get into this. That one scene from Training Day, 2001 Antoine Fuqua movie, written by David Ayer. Ayer. They both went on, like this movie. Whoa.
Oh my God.
But
yeah.
they both went on to do okay stuff.
Yeah, David Ayer kind of got like caught
Fury,
in
the beekeeper,
and then he
did Suicide Squad.
He got caught in Suicide Squad land for a long time.
So movie with Will Smith.
Yeah, thing's great.
And then it is Antoine Fuqua. King Arthur, Shooter, Brooklyn's Finest, Southpaw, the Equalizer stuff. I think he even remade The Magnificent Seven, if I'm correct. But he went on to do cool stuff, and neither of these guys made a movie as good as this one.
Nope.
So I'm excited to talk about this scene. This is one that you've been wanting to do for a long time.
I think since we first came up with this premise of that one scene.
That was on your one of your lists.
And I would say, was the Boogie Nights Alfred Molina our first?
Yes.
That one scene.
Mm-hmm.
This is tense in that
one
thing.
too. By the way, go listen.
This is tense in that same way.
Oh yeah.
This is like you can't help but think at some point someone heard someone tell somebody else this story, and then it ended up in a script, right? Where someone is like, and he kept lighting off firecrackers, and that was when I found out that my ride had left me and I was stuck with these gangbangers. It just feels like pulled from real life in this way that is terrifying.
For sure, absolutely. Let's give a little context within the movie here. So this is the card game scene is what we're doing.
Right, and I think it's worth noting that in a movie that is notorious and famous for the scenery chomping of one Denzel Washington. This is a scene that does not have Denzel in it.
Yeah, I was absolutely going to mention that. And we can get into that.
Yeah.
Denzel, Ethan Hawke, Scott Glenn is in this movie earlier.
It is, however, his character's fault, which I think is worth mentioning.
For sure. Before this, just to give a quick breakdown, Ethan Hawke, it's his first day on the job, not necessarily as a cop, but as a detective.
Yep.
And I don't know who decides to pair him up with this guy.
He's like the best detective, supposedly. He's like the guy who has the most cases solved and all this stuff.
They go to Scott Glenn's house there. A couple scenes before this, Scott Glenn is like an ex-cop, I think, and they plant some drugs on him. Dr. Dre's there. Like they're like they're pinning it on him and stealing some money.
Yep.
Right. And then they're trying to get Jake to like go with everything. Right. Yep. They're like, come on, man, this is how it goes. Whatever, And they have this long talk in the car of like, this is the way it needs to be. And it's basically take whatever you can for yourself.
Yep.
As long as you can.
And Jake has dug his heels in. He's like, I'm not going to snitch on you, but like, I can't do that.
I'm not doing it.
And in that moment, and Alonzo is starting to become paranoid, right? I mean, this is why he makes him smoke crack, right? Like,
that's right.
I didn't know you like to get wet, right? There's that whole thing, and like, and what he's trying to do is immerse him in some way into the life.
He can't turn back.
So he can't turn back
already.
Yeah,
on his first fucking
his first day.
This whole movie is his first day, which is insane.
And then he's as he's going along doing this stuff, he's also. It's this training day, this long car ride that's the whole first sort of half of the movie, that this is the pinnacle that everything kind of turns on.
Yeah, we go to this house. He has to take care of the family.
Because he's running these errands this whole time.
Yeah.
And so he stops at Smiley's house, who, if we can talk for just a moment about Cliff Curtis. So Cliff Curtis plays Smiley. Now, the scene has the always fantastic Cliff Curtis, who has been Hollywood's go-to. We need a nondescript brown bad guy. He has played Mexican gangbangers,
Pablo Escobar in Traffic.
Yep, he has played Arabic terrorists. He's played Native Americans.
He's in True Lies.
He's played Italian hitmen, but he's actually from New Zealand and he's Maori. So shame on you, Hollywood, but kudos to you, Cliff, for continuing to get work.
For sure.
In our racist culture.
He's one of those guys that you've seen in 100% things. I think he's maybe even in Three Kings or something.
He's a super solid actor.
Yeah, great actor. Him he's Smiley. We also have Sniper and Moreno, Raymond Cruz, and Noel.
Guillermo and Raymond Cruz, obviously from Breaking Bad, played Tuco.
That's right.
And Better Call Saul. Noel Guillermo. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that. As Moreno is probably the reason why I wanted to do this scene. While the other two guys are great, and I think that Raymond Cruz as Sniper, being the real psycho who's pretty dumb, is terrifying.
Did you ever get your shit pushed down me?
Yeah, that's terrible. But I think Moreno
pushed in. Sorry,
Moreno it's so authentic. The jokey, like, hey man, I'm just fucking with you, man.
But you could tell like he's like
underneath.
He's fucking with him, but not in the way he's playing it.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready at the drop of a hat. And so this like jokey chuckling thing. Listen, I've spent a lot of my adult life and my career working with guys like Moreno. And that is the most legit. And doing some research on Noel Guillermo, he was homeless from a really young age and was in gangs and got discovered by just randomly going in for a Taco Bell commercial audition. And that's how he like ship. And then like has his own production company and did all this stuff to get out of that life. But I'm like, oh, you're aping a thing you know very well, which is the like, well, I want to see your gun.
Yeah.
Right. And which is like the scariest. It's so scary. His friendliness is so authentically terrifying. But it's brilliant.
It's pressuring you. It's creating tension. You know, like the writing and acting in the scene explodes off the screen.
Oh my God.
And, you know, Denzel, like we said, is barely in it. And he's the one who got nominated.
Yeah.
And Hawke, I would argue, almost has a harder job than Denzel to some degree. Like Denzel no one is like Denzel. He's generational. We know that.
Totally.
You know, here he has to match Denzel's intensity, but he also has to kind of try and maintain being tough and cool at the same time.
Yes.
Especially here when he's down with these guys and the only white guy in the room.
And I think, you know, we've seen so many great performances from Ethan Hawke. I'm thinking of something like Reality Bites where he gets to kind of play the crazy one, but here he's going way back into his Dead Poet Society days of being a guy who's so scared and knows he's scared and has to be smart in the moment, right? Has to find a way. And so he has this intensity. He has this way of, for lack of a better term, breathing through his nose with his mouth shut, because if he doesn't, he's probably going to start crying. Right. And that is, he's exuding so much of that in this scene to just like beautiful effect.
Well, and this is what, his second or third test of the day.
Yeah.
Like, totally. And this is, I know it's training day. But he's a rookie.
Worst day at work ever.
Yeah. Like seriously.
You think your day at work is? Go watch Training Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a bold plot twist to keep putting him through the grinder like this, because it just, you know how vulnerable he is, and it just ramps up the tension. He finally, even though, you know, we're going up the staircase and we're getting all sorts of stare downs and eyeballs and like, you know where the fuck you are, man? And, and Alonzo's whole thing is, oh, well, I'm taking care of someone's family who's in the brink, you know, like we were taking bringing them stuff, and obviously they get inside and, you know, the blender's full of money and whatever.
And it all starts to kind of feel way less like a noble thing you're doing and more like,
for sure.
And apparently he's taking a shit.
I was going to say, and he goes to the bathroom and like, he's like, hey, I'll be right back. We'll get out of here. Giving him that false sense of security. Which is what they play on so well here.
Totally.
It's not that he necessarily feels like he's in a safe space, or something like that. It's not like,
but he's with Alonzo. Yeah. So like, he's going to be
like
okay.
He's got it back. They know this guy or whatever. And, you know, hey, you want to play poker? You know, like try and talk him into it. But like, it's that Joker mentality that we've talked about with The Dark Knight, where it's like, they just want to see the world burn.
Yeah. And
then as an audience, you want to, it's a tense situation, but you want to hope the best of people. Like, that's just kind of a natural reaction. And you know, it just blows up in his face, and he's trying to play it off.
Ethan Hawke's character Jake feels this, and we as consumers of movies about cops feel this too, which is, he doesn't want to hand over his gun, and he doesn't want to be friends with these guys. But he also doesn't in that moment feel like he's in danger because he's a police officer. And like, even if these guys are gangbangers.
Pig, huh?
Yeah. How long you been a pig? Sorry. I'm sorry. A police officer, right? There's a safety in just like, well, they're not going to kill a cop.
Yeah.
Right. Until Smiley's phone And he gets it, gone. And he goes and he looks out the window, and he's kind of standing off to the side. Cool, I say. And that's where things get. I mean, my God, when he flips the table and tries to run, and they knock him down and start hitting him and slapping him and dragging him and telling the girls to get out, it is. I mean, that's scarier than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, it is so, because it feels so like, oh, in this moment, and you know, the texture, I would say, in the direction, they must have built these sets, and it kept, like, this is a funny comparison, but some of the camera work here reminded me of the James Wan film Malignant, how they built that set of the house that the camera's floating above, right? Because the camera breaks through walls and goes from the hallway into the bathroom. Like, it is independent of the set that this thing is in, even though the house feels so lived in. It feels so real, right? The little kitchen table, the little Formica table they're at.
Sure. Like, I honestly got a Anthony Kiedis drug dealers in Point Break vibe from this house a little bit, right?
I get that. Yeah. War Child?
Yeah.
They go to War Child's house.
They go to War Child's house.
Shoots him in the foot.
That's right.
His whole shoe just explodes in blood. Yeah, I love that movie. But the way the camera floats around above from room to room adds so much to the kinetic tension. And listen, first of all, if you're being assaulted by a couple of guys, like, that's a bad sign anyway. If they tell the girls to leave, you're like, oh, I'm going to be murdered.
You're going in the bathtub, and the visual of them like covering up the closing it so they don't get blood
everywhere. Oh my God,
you're blocking my view.
You're blocking my view, because
they just want the blood to go down the drain.
Because at that point, like, Sniper is like horny for this. Like, he is so excited to watch somebody get killed. Like,
some of Ethan Hawke's finest acting too, man.
My God,
is next level here.
It is so scary. Good. He's so good.
I mean, you think he's gone, right? Like,
yeah.
And or maybe Denzel's going to come back and save him. But Denzel wants to see the world burn too.
Yeah, and obviously he's the one. You know, when he's like, no, man, he sold you out.
Yeah,
like they're like, this is the thing that's going to happen. And all of these guys are like, fuck yeah, I'll kill a cop. Like, I don't care. Right. Like, they're excited about that. And they've been basically given the green light to know that they're going to be protected to kill this police officer.
Because we do get a little dirt on Alonzo. They went crazy in Vegas, shot some Russian dude, and that guy knew someone.
And don't you love that is an exposition dump, but it's an exposition dump that's being explained
for,
and it's being explained to Ethan Hawke's character to hurt him, right? To make him realize, like, you trusted the wrong guy. He's a piece of shit. He's our piece of shit, and he brings us money, but like, he's crazy. He's crazier than we are, right? Yeah. And like, so it's an exposition dump, but it makes perfect sense for Smiley to say that to him because he's flaunting him with it.
Absolutely. So the bailout here is so amazing. What you're talking about with the wallet, saving the girl from earlier that was getting raped. They find this wallet on him, and they start
Smiley's
niece. And it's Smiley's niece, and he's like, "Oh, you're fucking dead."
Yeah, no, you're definitely dead.
He's just screaming, I found it on this girl.
They were trying to rape her. Oh my God, they were trying to rape her. Like, please, maybe this is the thing that'll save my life.
It just ran like you already thought it was. The tension was high, and they were going to kill him because this is what Alonzo wants.
Yeah.
And then it gets ramped up even more, and he ends up calling her, and
then it gets ramped, but then it gets ramped up even more because at first she lies. No, I went to school all day, and you're like, oh, now we're depending on this 16-year-old girl
to keep him alive.
Tell the truth.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't get killed.
So Smiley gets it out of her. He's not stupid. But man, so good.
It's nothing personal, man.
What an intense scene,
right? Nothing
just
personal,
business, man.
Just business, nothing personal.
And you're like, seem fucking personal.
And then he's on the bus. But God, it's such a good scene, dude.
Yeah, it's such a brilliant, intense scene. I watched this movie a few weeks ago and then rewatched this scene to do this. Just because I wanted the full, I hadn't seen it in a while.
Yeah, and the bookends of like how this scene comes about,
and also, you know, he wants to be the King Kong of the neighborhood. King Kong.
I remember shit on me. I remember seeing this in the theater, and it was after I had like seen like people doing the like King Kong ain't got shit on me, and I was like, God, I gotta go because I've always been such a huge fan of Denzel Washington's work that I was like, I gotta see this, and I loved it so much, but this is a sort of a quote unquote like sleeper scene. Like there's so many scenes where Denzel is doing all the scenery chewing and you know that it's his movie. And this scene is the one that scared me the most. And I kept thinking about after the movie was over. I was like, that's more realistic of what gang life looks like.
Sounds
what sounds like what would happen if a hit was going to go down like this. Like it feels so authentic to, again, just the guys that I've known in my own life and the way that they act right before some wild violence goes down. Like there is joking and like, oh man, we're all buddies. And then somebody gets stabbed and you're like, oh no, they weren't. Like they were giving a false sense of security before shit got really sideways.
Sense of security.
Oh, it's such a good
I
scene.
think the Alfred Molina Boogie Nights scene is actually a pretty good equivalent tense-wise for this.
Yeah.
That one, has the firecrackers and stuff going off that adds to that. But the firecrackers are everywhere here.
Yeah, like, firecrackers are these guys laughing, right? And these guys are like, no, but I want to see your gun. Yeah. Like it's that shit where you're like,
three jokers.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, amazing scene. I don't know what took us so long to do it, but I'm so glad we did it.
Same.
Like you said, there's a lot in the scenes in this movie that we could have done, but really fun to revisit and hell of a movie.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Please join us next week. We're going to continue our Albert Books Festival with Modern Romance from 1981. And we will do, I think, that one scene from
Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Good, the Bad, the Ugly coming up as well. So please join us, like and subscribe. YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok are our most active channels, so join us there. And we'll see you then.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks.